So this morning I'm going to point out to you, prove to you why it is very important to use correct terminology, correct words when it comes to the Bible. And of course, the biggest one of them all, the name of our Creator. His name is Jehovah. I'm going to get started with John chapter 1 and verse 1. Now, I pointed out many times that the words that are written by Yehoshua and the disciples must match. When I say the words, I mean the words and the meanings must match with Moses and the prophets. They must. So, right here, and some preachers claim that this is the real beginning, not Genesis 1 and verse 1. Well, when they tell you that, they do so, they say this in order to deceive each and every one of you. So it says right here in King James, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. But is that what it really says? Now, we're going to do a translation to the Greek. We're not even going to go back to Hebrew because they don't have a transcript in Hebrew, which they should. But we'll go as far back as we can, and we'll go to the Greek. And Christians today, all Christians today say that the Word was God, and that means the Word was, as they say, Jesus. Well, they're going to find out, or you're going to find out today, that that is not true. In the beginning, in the origin, was, not was. Not was at all. The word ein in Greek is agreed, to have charge of. In the beginning, agree. Logos. So they say that Logos is Jesus. Nope. No, it's not. It is a word, a spoken word, an embodying of an idea, a statement, or a speech. What was that word? What was that statement? What was that speech? Are you ready? Are you ready? I forgot to add that particular scripture. So we'll go to Bible Hub, and we'll go to the beginning, and we're going to find out what that speech was. Genesis 1 and verse 1. Why is it not up? Well, we'll pull it up. Go to Strong's. There we go. We're going to find out what that speech was that came out of his mouth. Now it says, in the beginning, in King James Version, God. That's wrong. It says in Hebrew, Elohim. Why did they put God in there instead? I will show it to you in just a few minutes, after I'm done with John 1, verse 1. Remember what I told you. The words in, as the Christians say, the New Testament, must agree with the words that are written in Moses and the prophets. Now, in the case of John 1, verse 1, the words that it must agree with is Genesis 1, beginning in verse 1. If it doesn't agree with Genesis 1, beginning with verse 1, then it is counterfeit. So let's see. In the beginning, Elohim created heaven and the earth was formless and empty. and dark on the face of the abyss, the thom. What is the abyss? It is the sea. So the beast that came out of the abyss is the beast that came out of the sea. Then what happened? Then the ruach of Elohim moved upon the face of the water. And Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. What? That was the word. Let there be light. Don't believe me? Let's continue to read. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. That was the first words that's mentioned in the scripture. And the statement, the speech, agreed to have charge of, to hold with Elohim, not Theos. Now, how does that work? I'll explain it to you. He spoke, and it happened. That's how that works. Are your minds so complicated you cannot connect the dots here? Is it so hard? And then it says, and also the statement, the idea, the speech, the word, agreed, not was, agreed with Elohim. This, not the same, this. Agreement. In the beginning, the origin with Elohim. All things were made by Elohim. And without Elohim was not there anything made that was made. In Elohim, that is the Father, was life. And the life was the light of men, and the light shined in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. So the statement was, let there be what? You all know the answer. I don't have to tell you, but I'll say it anyway. The answer was, let there be light. That was the word that he spoke. It brought light into the world. Genesis 1, it says, in verse 3, and Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. That's not how your preacher says it. Now, they insist on using the word God. Do you know, and I've talked about this before, but do you know what the word God is related to? Let's go and look it up. Got and God is the same word. It is an early Germanic name from a Proto-Germanic Gautaz, which represents a mythical ancestor or national god of original origin of the Israelis, the Jews, right? Wrong! If it isn't the Elohim of Israel, then it is a false idol. I'll continue. It is associated with the Goths. Now the Goths, as I'll show you in just a minute, they were a subgroup of the Gauls. The Gauls were a Germanic tribe of the Celts, and the Gauls were a Germanic tribe of Riphath, son of Gomer, and Gomer being the son of Japheth. The other German tribes came from Ashkenaz, son of Gomer, Gomer being the son of Japheth. I'll continue. Gotaz may be connected with the name of the Swedish river Gota. I don't know how to pronounce Swedish, I'm sorry. At the city of Gothenburg. The Geatish ethnonym Gotaz is related to the ethnonym of the Goths and the Goots. You can look at the map right here. Inhabitants of the island of Gotland, derived from Proto-Germanic Guto. Gothic would be, I don't know how to speak Gothic. Old Norse would be Gotar or Gutar. I've told you folks over and over and over again that the name God is the one-eyed idol of the Norsemen and the Germans. When I say Germans, I mean the Celts and the Gauls. The Celts, the Gauls, and the Ashkenaz. Okay? Germans of Japheth. And if you remember reading in, I believe it was Genesis 9, where Noah called Jehovah the Elohim of Shem. And he did not say that about Japheth. Okay? I may go there to prove that point. The German chronicler Johannes Event, I can't say his name. This is in 1525 reported Gothus as one of the 20 dukes who accompanied Tuisto into Europe, settling Gothaland as his personal fief during the reign of Nimrod at Babel. The Swede Johannes Magnus was around the same time as Adventinus wrote that Gothus or Gathar, also known as Gogus or Gog, was one of Magog's sons who became the first king of the Goths, the Geats in Gothaland. Magnus separately listed Gaptus as son and successor of Berig, first king of the Goths south of the Baltic. And indeed, the royal family of Sweden and Norway, I believe it's Sweden, recognize that they are Gogites. Does that totally transform or change the narrative of Gog and Magog being, as they say, Russia? Well, see, one of the things that I have always pointed out is do not get yourself so tied to a narrative that you cannot change when the truth is presented, when the truth is in front of you. Okay? When you read Ezekiel 38 and 39, it doesn't just say Gog and Magog. If that's how you read it, then you're going to get it wrong. Because it says Gog of the land of Magog, Rosh, prince of Meshech and Tubal. You see. Well, Rosh is Russia. Gog and Magog. I mean, we can go look at that. Let me show you something. Do you know what this is? Gog land? Do you know where it's located? Okay, it is. I don't know how to speak Russian, but I assume it means Gog land in Russia. Okay. Swedish is Hogland. Estonia, Sursar. German is Hochland, an island of the Gulf of Finland in the East Baltic Sea. But who owns Gog land? Russia. Does that mean Russia is the land of Gog? If you say that Russia is the land of Gog, you are unlearned. The land of Gog, or the Gog is the land of Magog. See, if you go to Ezekiel 38, it explains itself. You don't have to try to interpret what it's saying. It explains itself and interprets itself. Look, let me show you. The word of not the Lord is Jehovah came unto me, Son of man, set your face against Gog, the land of Magog, Rosh, or Rosh, prince of Meshech and Tubal. Now, Rosh and Meshech, these names are associated together. That would be Russia. And Tubal is basically the capital of Georgia, or Tbilisi. And then there are other places that are named like this. And prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith Adonai Jehovah, I am against you, Gog, Rosh, prince of Meshech and Tubal. You will return, because I will put hooks in your jaws, and I will bring you forth, and all your horse army, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. Then it says this, Persia, Cush, Libya also with them, and then it says Gomer. Gomer. Where do the Goths come from? Gomer. Through Riphath, the son of Gomer. But Ashkenaz worships the same idol, which is called God, as the people of Riphath do. So Gog and Magog comes from Gomer. This is why I'm trying to tell you, if all you're focused on is Gog Magog, then you're completely missing the point. You are unlearned. You are unable to study. Gog and Magog comes from Gomer. All his bands in the house of Togarmah. Togarmah comes from Gomer. Riphath comes from Gomer. Togarmah comes from Gomer, and so does Ashkenaz. This then would mean all of Europe as well as Persia, Cush, and Libya. All of Europe, Russia, here, Rosh, prince of Meshech and Tubal. All of them. You see, and they are associated with the name God. They prefer to use the name God rather than Jehovah. And we'll look at this a little bit. Gotaland. That would be Swedish. Compromises 10 provinces of Sweden. Okay. Let's see. The earliest possible mentions of the Gotar is mentioned by 2nd century geographer Ptolemy, who mentions the Gutai. Later, the Anglo-Saxon epic Beowulf is partly set among the Geatus. And so this right here, if you can, see if it pulls up. This is Gog land right here, and right now, Russia owns it. So when he says the far north in Ezekiel 38, especially in Ezekiel 39, it says, they're all from the north. This in Ezekiel 39 says from the far north. Let me show you something. From the north extremities. Yereka means extreme parts, in the extreme recesses. So as far north as you can go. Now, folks, now you've got a better sense of who he's talking about. It's not just the Russians, as some people want to claim. It's not just the Turkish, as Walid Shubat wants to say. It's the entire north part. But it includes, folks, watch this. Let's see if I can get a map pulled up real good here. Well, if I don't know why it's not letting me move it. It's just letting me, here we go. So we see Norway, Sweden, Finland. These are Goths, or the Gogites. But Gog comes from the house of, from Gomer. Gomer is where all the Europeans come from, with the exception of, and there are some Goths in Spain, by the way, that would be the northern part. But on the lower part would be Tarshish and some Moors. But Tarshish, which is also from Japheth, but Tarshish is not going to participate in the Gog and Magog war. It says so in Ezekiel 38. And all her young lions in the Atlantic are not going to participate either. So, what we just talked about would be Gog and Magog, or Gog from the land of Magog. That would be this. And Rosh, prince of Meshech and Tubal, would be all of this, including Georgia, prince of Meshech and Tbilisi. All right, so we have this and this. Then we have Persia, which is way over here. We have Cush, which is either in Black Africa or Hindu Kush. It could be either or it could be both. Then you have Libya, North Africa. So you got North Africa covered. You've got Black Africa and Hindu Kush covered. Then you have Gomer. Gomer. That would be Riphath, Ashkenaz, and the house of Togarmah. That would be the Celts, the Gauls, and Turkey. You see what happens when you try to create your own narrative? If you just read the scripture as it says, you would not be blinded. You would know the truth. And all of this I pointed out begins in, we'll go back to John 1 verse 1. You see, the way I pointed out in the beginning to you in John 1 verses 1 through 5 must match Genesis 1 verse 1, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It must match it. And it does. It's just your preacher's false narrative does not match it. I have proved to you that your preachers are liars. And when the Gog Magog war begins, there will be many who even think that they're friends of Israel will not know which side to be on, because of the false Antichrist doctrine that was preached to them at the pulpit that went all the way back to Cyril the Catholic. So there you have it, folks. Don't use the name God because it is associated with Gott, the false idol of the Norsemen. Let's see. I may want to look up another one. Common German deities. Here we go. Ostro, the goddess of the dawn, which is associated with Easter, you see. Now their gods, let's see here. There we go. Here we go. Wodenaz, lord of poetic, mantic inspiration, Germanic Mercury, Old Norse Odin, often anglicized Odin, or especially in older texts, Othin, Old English Woden, Old High German Wotan, Gothic would be Gott. All right. The English word God comes from the Old English God, which itself is derived from the Proto-Germanic Gudan. Its cognate in other Germanic languages include Gup, Gudis, both Gothic, Guo, Old North, God, Old Saxon, Old Frisian, and Dutch, and Gott, Old High German. Gott is an early Germanic name from a Proto-Germanic Gottaz, which represents a mythical ancestor or national god in the origin myth of the Geats. And there you have it, folks. Checkmate. The truth is the light, and the light will always override darkness.